Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and listen, I'm blessed because I get to talk to some of my very cool friends and community leaders out here, and today has been just one after the other with Deacon Jim Vargas, head of Father Joe's Villages, Todd Ula, Chief Strategy Officer of Ed for Tech, joined again by my colleague, the absolutely inimitable Neville Villamoria, Senior VP of Marketing and Community Relations for Mission Fed Credit Union, and Neville, this is one of my favorite people since he's come into San Diego. He's done unbelievable stuff in the space of animal welfare, the human and animal bond, and that is Dr. Gary Weitzman. He's the CEO of the San Diego Humane Society. He hates when I say this stuff because he doesn't like to be doted on, but really he's amazing. He's an author of like 16 zillion books, nationally recognized, internationally recognized, and we're just very, very lucky to have him running the Humane Society and all of its different footprints here. Gary, just make me a big smile when you come into the studio.
and vice versa. I always feel the same way, Drew.
I appreciate it. How many years now you've been here?
Well, actually, seriously, 10. I was going to make a joke about it because
Please do.
With COVID, it feels like 300 years,
Exactly.
The last 2.5 or 3 years. But yeah, 10 years. I never thought I'd be here for 10 years.
Well, the thing is that everybody who knows and works with Gary said, at minimum another 10 years, you're going to have to be here. We're not letting you get away. I mean, listen, what you've done is remarkable, and I know you're, and I'll always, put this in there, you and your phenomenal staff and a board. Your footprint is huge now.
Yeah, it's a size 10 and a half.
It's like 110 and a half.
110 and a half. Yeah, no, I'm really lucky. You just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Got great people working with me, great volunteers, great supporters, and a great community to work in. So couldn't ask for anything more.
Are we, and I ask you this question all the time before we get to the task at hand, are we one of the more animal-friendly, communities, regions? You've been around the country, of course, doing these things. Where are we in that spectrum?
That's so funny. I just had a talk yesterday, and I brought that up because when I got here, I was told by everyone, San Diego is the most animal-friendly city in the United States. And I just laughed because I've lived in so many cities, right. And every city says they love animals the most. But in fact, it really kind of is. We've been striving to get that best city for dogs, most dog-friendly city, that's right. It, for 100 years. We never will. But it's not because we aren't the most animal-friendly city, it's because there are the other metrics that we don't. They're like 50 years ago, we had that affordable housing, enough apartments for people to rent and keep animals, the cost of living here, those things make a big difference. But as far as loving animals, I've never seen a community like this. And it's probably because we're surrounded by nature, animals, the environment. We're pretty progressive and conscious of these gifts that we've got. But people do love their animals here.
Yeah, you and I have had this conversation. I was very fortunate. My mom and dad, I grew up with the cricket farms and little snakes and rabbits and everything, and turtles and dogs. I had about guinea pigs, you name it. It was at our household. And my mom raised 7 wild huskies when she was growing up in Canada and all that business. So Neville, you a big animal guy?
Oh, man. I love dogs. I'm head over heels over our little yellow lab, Ellie. She's not little. She's a 75-pound alpha female that runs the place. But
of course.
You bet. My daughter's getting one of the degree in anthrozoology. It's one of the 2 places in the country that offer that degree, the intersection of humanity and animals. So yes, you're right. We're a progressive and heartfelt city. And some of those metrics we may not hit, but when it comes to the pure heart and pure love for all sentient beings, there's a lot of that in San Diego.
I would die without my dogs, honestly.
Yeah, it was great. I was honored. Gary foolishly wanted to be on as a community advisory board. Was there with Doug Myers and some other folks on this, and he'd bring his dogs in, 2 of them. One I think is since they both passed.
No, one of them. Betty's going to be 15 in January.
Right. Is that the one with the 3 legs, or
no? She's got all 4.
Wasn't there one?
Yes, you're absolutely right. I had my Jake. He was a 110-pound German Shepherd.
Yeah,
and lost his back leg. And then lost his other back leg. So that was a lot of fun.
I did not know that.
So he was in a cart for maybe 3 or 4 years at the end of his life. But right. he was my boy.
Yeah, would come into the meetings, and of course, no one paid attention to Gary. It was all focused on the dogs. And the irony is that now I say, well, are you going to bring your dog into the studio or whatever? Because there's a dog that comes into the studio up at Cypher that's just wonderful, Raven. And if you're listening, Raven, you're a very cool dog. And Gary goes, my dog's not allowed to go anywhere. Is that true?
No. She's with me 24/7, Drew. She is with me every single day, every single night. She comes to work every day. She is so sweet. She is the biggest mouth of any dog I've ever had in my entire life. Never stops reacting to something, barking, yelling about things. We wouldn't get a word in here. Yeah,
well, listen, that's right. We'll get a mic on next time. Talk about, and this is really important to you folks, many things are important to you, reduced fees during a month-long adoption drive, to clear the shelters. What's that all about?
Yeah, we're really lucky about Clear the Shelters. Happens every August. It started about 7 years ago in Dallas. Somebody had a brilliant idea, and she's a brilliant person, Corey Price, and she had an idea. Let's just make Dallas one day in August, everything's free in shelters, and get all those animals placed. And she did it. And since then, it might be 8 years now, every shelter in the country has been trying to be part of this. And we've been now for at least 10 years part of this. Oh, so it's more than 8 years. Obviously, we've been part of it for 10 years.
Right.
But it's good. The idea is it's the end of the summer. Summer's our big time. We have more animals than you can imagine. I mean, they're coming out of the drawers of desks. They're in the candy machines. I mean, we've got animals everywhere we can put them. And we want to get them into homes so that we can clear the shelter and get prepared for the rest of the year.
Is this the time of the year that you have more people in your shelter, dogs in your shelter, or rabbits or cats or whatever else? And why is that?
Everything. We've got more, definitely more dogs because they're more active, so there's more strays that are getting lost and brought in. Not so much puppies in San Diego. We usually have to go elsewhere to find puppies, but we get them occasionally.
Right.
But the dogs, they're out there. There's more of them. We probably get close to 100 strays a day. 100.
How do you house those?
We have a lot of shelters in our system. We've got, a shelter, Drew. We've got a shelter, the main ones in San Diego.
Right.
We have Escondido and Oceanside and El Cajon. We have a wildlife facility up in Ramona. But we have a lot of facilities and a lot of ability to house them. But even for us, this year was really tough. Like most shelters in the country, everybody's been full of big dogs. We don't know why. But, we do know why. We do know, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
I can just go on and on, so you have to stop me.
No. Neville's let us do this it's a 5-hour show today.
It's a 5-hour show.
That's right.
I brought charts and PowerPoint.
Good.
No, actually, there was that whole theory that people got animals during COVID, and then they returned them as COVID kind of quieted down.
Right.
And in point of fact, nationally, that did not happen at all.
Right.
People did get a lot of animals, but we all had fewer animals. So the rates were higher, but the total numbers were fewer. So we have not seen the numbers like we had in 2019 before COVID. But what's happening now is everybody seems to have already gotten the dog they wanted. So there's a limit to how many dogs some of us want to have in our homes. I'm okay with 10 to 15, but there's a limit. But so that's really what's happened. So people really have they've got their animals, they've got their dogs. So our adoption rates nationally are lower, and that's what's caused this huge choke point in shelters. We are so maxed out, we are so full of animals that this discount in August, please come. If you're thinking about getting a dog, come and get your dog from any of the shelters in San Diego County.
Yeah, absolutely. We're chatting with Dr. Gary Weitzman. He's the president and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society, joined by Neville Villamoria, Senior VP of Marketing and Community Relations for Mission Fed. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. That's so true. And again, there's so many topics that are just floating in my mind. One of the things we have talked about, and I don't think it applies in this situation, and we mentioned it on the show that you've been on quite a bit, is that whenever there's a movie out about dogs, and whatever that type of dog is in the movie, people recklessly, and I do use the word recklessly, will go out, we need to buy fill in the blanks. So when 101 Dalmatians did a remake, what happened? I'm going to get a Dalmatian. Do you know how to take care of a Dalmatian? They're very active dogs. Nope. And then what happens? They have to give them back, correct?
Right. And that was the real classic time. Everybody, who wouldn't want a Dalmatian if you saw those puppies in that movie? For heaven's sakes, I want 50 of them.
Right.
But you're right. They are an active dog, and they are a smart dog and a strong dog, and you have to really be able to keep up with them. Right. And then there was Turner and Hooch. Remember that one?
Of course.
Yeah, with the dog de Bordeaux. We got one in the shelter. Unfortunately, it was a cruelty case, but he's a beauty, absolute beauty, rust-colored dog de Bordeaux, and he's I believe he got placed pretty quickly, but he had a pretty sad case when we picked him up.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Talk a little bit about your community veterinary program. What's that all about?
It's the best thing we've ever done in our entire 142-year history.
Really?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's the first time we are opening our entire organization to the public for veterinary care. We've never done that before. We have a spay-neuter program, but we've never had a public vet hospital.
Wow.
And it's specifically for those that can't access care elsewhere. So they can't go to a private practice for financial reasons or for their own health reasons, or they can't drive there, they can't get there. So we're going to bring it to them, and we're going to have it 2 days a week to start of in-shelter care. They can come to the Gain Street campus and come in on, I believe it's Thursdays and Fridays, and our clinic is open from 9 to 5, and we'd like you to make an appointment. But all we ask is that people tell us that they have a financial need for accessing our services. We don't screen in any other way. But I'm so proud of this. This is a dream come true to open up this service.
And no charge?
There will be charges.
Okay,
there
right.
will be, but generally they're negotiable. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
They're generally 50% of market.
Wow.
So, and it's expensive. It's expensive for all of us to do anything these days. But veterinary care it's not that the vets are charging more than they should by any means. It's just that it is so expensive to run a veterinary hospital. So we want to give people a break, and certainly those people that can't afford that rate, we'll make arrangements with them.
Well, everyone knows, and Neville, you were sort of talking about it, just how important that dog is to everyone. They're part of the family, or cat, or rabbit, or fill in the blank, horse. And I might have mentioned this to you. In fact, I did mention it to you because you jumped right on it, Gary. I don't think I even shared this with Neville, but I just had the utmost respect for what you guys do, Gary. And if I do a shout out, ER for Pets up in the Carmel Mountain area. Our beloved dog ate 8 pounds of sand. And that's not good because you won't live if you have 8 pounds of sand.
We recommend no more than 6 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah. I have 7. I usually do 7 on a daily basis. But I was calling Gary. Gary's going on a plane, and for God's sake, and made a call to your, chief medical officer and got it all squared away. Neville, have you ever had an emergency with your animal? And
he has a lab. He must.
Yes, I've had 2 wonderful experiences. One when she ate partial corn cob and it got stuck in a GI tract. And because it was translucent, it didn't show up on the x-ray. So by the time they actually figured out she had an intestinal blockage, she was like in dire straits, had to have an emergency surgery. And then, so she recovers from that. And then a few months, 6 months later, she eats a sock. And now because her gut has all been wrangled and dangled, the sock gets obstructed. So we had a double, extra fries, mustard pickle with this young baby. But and it is damned expensive. It is really, really expensive.
Yes,
so
it is.
I applaud the fact that you're able to provide some discounted services for those that love their pets so immensely, but then are faced with these incredibly difficult choices of, am I going to spend $7,000 on this operation, or am I going to put them down?
I hope you got insurance for her after all of that.
Well, it's too late now. She has a pre-existing condition.
She eats socks and corn cobs. Oh, no. I know. She's a lab. That's a very normal lab.
Yeah, exactly. But the point is not everybody can afford that. And so ensuring that we provide a member of a family with care. I mean, it's the same
Absolutely.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Gary, when we come back from a break, and Neville, I want to talk a little bit about these 3 orphaned bear cubs that are up in Ramona, but also just talk about how important it is for the vibe of a city to have a great relationship with the Humane Society that's in that city, and the human and animal bond. I mean, it sounds so obvious. You're in that world, but for some people that don't understand, it's more than critical. When we return with Dr. Gary Weitzman, President and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society, joined by Neville Villamoria, Senior VP of Marketing and Community Relations for Mission Fed. I'm Drew Schlosberg. As you are listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing great things to San Diego for more than 60 years. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community. We're brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, this very cool studio. What do you think of the studio?
This is great. Awesome. Seriously.
Yeah, they do some great things here, and we're honored to bring our Spotlight show here and other things we haven't even thought of yet, have we, Neville? So
Sky's the limit.
Sky is
So much good storytelling to be done in this city.
Absolutely. With Dr. Gary Weitzman, President and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society, and my colleague Neville Villamoria, Senior VP of Marketing and Community Relations for Mission Fed. You know, you guys are involved in everything, but I do want to touch base on this just a little bit, if we could, before we get to talk about the 3 orphaned bear cubs. I mean, fire season seems to be here almost 12 months of the year, right? And you guys are impacted as well as anybody when that fire hits. And when all the animals, like the horses or whatever, talk about what you folks have had to deal with in those big fires that have been here in San Diego County.
Yeah. This is a scary time of year, but you're right. It can be almost all year.
Right.
And we've been relatively spared compared to what's happened in Northern California, obviously.
Right.
Yosemite, up in Lake Tahoe,
right.
Back in Paradise. But every time a fire hits, whether it's in San Diego or anywhere else in California, we will send our emergency response team. So that's a team of volunteers and staff and veterinarians that go up and help people that have been evacuated. In some cases, they will actually go into the fire lines with the fire department because we have emergency training to do that. We have a tech rescue team that actually will go in and lift horses out, help with helicopters, help with all of the equipment it takes to get a horse that's down. But we will go up there to get animals out. We'll take people's requests when they are already evacuated and they're in shelter. We'll get their requests to go get their animals. We've gone back into homes and picked up cats, picked up dogs, parrots. That happened during the horrible Paradise Fire a few years ago. But we've been, I don't want to say it, it'll jinx us, but you know, our last fire here was the Valley Fire, and that was 2 years ago.
Is that with Bonsall? The horses?
Yeah. Oh, no, that was actually a year before that. That was horrible. Wasn't that just awful?
Terrible.
We had to evacuate our Oceanside shelter that night.
Wow.
Because it was coming right down on Airport Road, up in Oceanside and Bonsall. Yeah, that was just awful. Just awful.
Well, the point of it all is that, listen, the Humane Society is on top of their game. They're ready, prepared. You guys are probably the poster child for being prepared on all those things. And, you know, I love bragging about Gary and what he did. Gary recently came back from Ukraine. He flew out, actually to Poland, he flew out, if I'm not mistaken, but dealing with that tragedy. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was what an awful time. It's still an awful time for that poor country.
Yeah.
But at that time, everybody was coming across the border into Poland, and I was going crazy. So I did the most self-indulgent thing I could think of, which was to go myself. And it was complete hubris, and it was a terrible thing to have to see. But also, honestly, we were able to help some animals and set up a vet clinic on the border, and I'll never forget it. And I will never probably do anything that meant as much to me as going there to do that in March and April.
Neville, so Gary to do that stuff. What do you think about that?
I don't know about that.
Yes, it is.
Well, they say that you can judge a culture by the way they treat their children. I would add to that, you can judge a culture by the way they treat their animals too.
Yeah,
and so he obviously has a huge compassionate heart and behaves into his values, as opposed to many of us that have those sentiments and feel those itches and earnings and yearnings, but don't necessarily do anything about it. So thank you for leaning in.
Those people, honestly, after what they've been through, and they took that good care of their animals, they were very well cared for animals.
Yeah, and there's no question. All right, let's get to these 3 orphaned bear cubs. Where did you find them?
Oh, we get called. There's only 2 facilities in California that actually can take in our native bear, which is the black bear. So we're one of them. There's another one up toward Lake Tahoe. And it's obviously, it takes a lot of resources to take care of 800-pound male bear or
my goodness.
Well, the females are much smaller, but it takes a lot of resources, you can imagine. They come from when something terrible happens. A fire, a mother bear hit by a car. One of the cubs, we have 3. One of them came from a mother that was unfortunately killed when she was breaking into a house up in San Bernardino. And the cubs were there, so that we got 2 of those. We get them from California Department of Fish and Wildlife, and we're just a depository for them. The trick is that and actually interesting that you ask about this now, Drew, because we had 7 bears last season, which is last summer. And we've got to hold on to these guys until we can safely release them. For these cubs, it'll take a year. Wow. Because often cubs will stay with their mothers for 2 years. And we don't want to release these bears in the winter when they're going to have so much trouble foraging. So we'll have to wait till spring. So you can imagine in that amount of time to make sure they don't get acclimated to humans. We failed with a few of our bears from last summer. They got so used to us, even though we take precautions, that they would come up to the front of their habitat and they would splash water at staff who were trying to feed them. To us, that's a failure on our part. We got them safely and healthily cared for. Is that a word? Healthily?
Yeah.
They became healthy.
I know what you meant.
But they couldn't be released back into the natural environment. So those bears are going to Amarillo, and ironically, they were going to go today, but the transport was delayed. So we'll send them next month. But the 3 we have now, we're doing everything we've learned. And we have masks, we have bear suits. We're not letting the public see them. We're keeping staff away from them. But still, it's going to be a long year to try to keep humans hidden from these guys.
What amazes me about this, Neville, we only touch a little bit, the absolute breadth of what these guys have to do with the Humane Society, from, orphaned, bear cubs to these community veterinarian aspect of it, what they have to do when fires or disasters or flood or petulance, whatever the case may be, is absolutely humongous.
It's really true. It's a complex ecosystem.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. That's the fun of it, though. I mean, kittens to cubs, we get to do everything. Most humane societies don't have a wildlife component, and we're just lucky, really lucky that we do. Otherwise, our officers would be picking up injured wildlife and euthanizing them, and we want them to have better outcomes than that.
I don't think we've ever talked about this, and I do want to save some time, of course, as always, for what our listeners can do to support your efforts. But, talk about the breadth of the jobs that you folks have under your roof. I mean, how many employees are with you folks?
Well, in the last 2 years, with the Great Resignation that everybody's had to deal with, we had fewer, but we're about at 630.
Right, and it's just absolutely so diverse. Is it a great field to work in?
Oh yeah, it's the best. We've been trying to get Drew to come join us for years.
Exactly. Of course, the animals protested it, Neville.
Not at all. They would never do that.
Yeah. But if people are interested in a career,
Thanks
should
for
they
bringing that
look
up.
you? How does that work? Does they look you up? Should they?
Oh, yeah. And actually, we have usually running 30 to 40 open positions on a daily basis.
Interesting.
During the Great Resignation,
Right.
such as it was,
Right.
we had close to 3 times that. You know,
Right.
people could not afford to live here anymore. People
Right.
went back to move in with family, so
Sure.
they left the state. But right now, definitely look at our website, sdhumane.org. We always have our positions posted, and just click on it. It goes right to a website that'll just get your application in. We would love to have you. Honestly, I think this is the best place on earth.
Yeah, no, I think it's great, and working for someone like you and your staff is real critical. What can we do? What can our spotlight on the community listeners do to support your efforts? How about in the Mission Fed membership, which just by the nature of Mission Fed is already community service oriented? What can we do to support?
And Mission Fed is a huge supporter of the Humane Society too. So I want to thank you, Neville, and everybody at Mission Fed for that. But honestly, right now, the most important thing you can do is adopt. Come to the shelter. Let us get you one of our 700 kittens that we've got right now. Let us get you your new best friend, and we have an adoption guarantee. So come and foster for a while. And if you like that animal, keep it. If you don't, bring it back and tell us more about the animal. But really, right now, we do really need to clear the shelter. We really do.
Yeah, right. So how do they do that? What's the website?
The website is San Diego. I should know my own website, right? The website is sdhumane.org.
Right. So last question here. I lied. I thought that was the last question. How many books have you written?
I think at this point, 11.
What's the next book?
Yeah, that's a
Your
good
Life
question.
and Times with being on Drew Schlosberg's show. That'll be a one-pager.
It's going to be, and that'll be a multi-part series. Absolutely.
It'll be a prologue, and that'll be it on this. Do you have another one coming up? Is there number 12 in the?
I think there'll be a second edition to the pet health book and happiness.
Okay.
Pet health, behavior, and happiness. So with National Geographic. So sometime in the next few years.
The guy's, I'm telling you. So if he's not busy enough flying to Poland, Neville, and doing stuff with bear cubs and Ramona and everything else he does, he writes books, for God's sake. He's amazing. Neville, any final comments?
Deep gratitude for taking care of our little furry friends and helping us all be more humane in our actions, our behaviors, and how we show up. So thank you for that, Gary.
Oh, happy to.
Gary, we'll look forward to having you back on. We've been chatting with Dr. Gary Weitzman, President and CEO of the San Diego Humane Society, and my good colleague, Neville Billamoria, Senior VP of Marketing and Community Relations for Mission Fed. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, as you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.